Duke the dog, Rainbow the bird, and Gizmo the hamster were getting ready for the annual pet show. They had been practicing their tricks for weeks and were excited to show off their talents. As they arrived at the pet show, they saw all kinds of animals, from cats to snakes, lined up in cages or on leashes. The excitement in the air was palpable, with everyone hoping to win the coveted prize for the best pet. Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo walked proudly to their section, where they were greeted by the judges. The judges were a group of seasoned pet enthusiasts who had been judging the competition for years. They looked at each pet with a critical eye, assessing their appearance and behavior. Duke was a large, fluffy white dog with floppy ears and a friendly wagging tail. He had been practicing his balancing act, where he would balance a ball on his nose while walking on two legs. Rainbow was a colorful parrot with bright feathers and a lively personality. She had been practicing her singing and dancing routine, which always wowed the crowd. Gizmo was a tiny hamster with a big personality. He had been practicing his acrobatics, where he would climb and jump through hoops and tunnels. The competition began, and each pet took turns showing off their skills. Some pets did well, while others struggled to perform under the pressure. When it was Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo's turn, they shone brightly. Duke's balancing act was flawless, Rainbow's singing and dancing were a crowd pleaser, and Gizmo's acrobatics amazed everyone. As the competition came to an end, the judges tallied up their scores. The pets and their owners eagerly waited for the results. Finally, the head judge announced, and the winner of the Best Pet Show is. As the head judge opened his mouth to announce the winner, a sudden gust of wind blew through the pet show, knocking over cages and sending animals running in every direction. Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo, along with their owners, were caught up in the chaos. Dogs barked, birds squawked, and hamsters squeaked as the animals tried to find their way back to their owners. As Duke tried to make his way through the panicked crowd, he accidentally bumped into a bulldog. The bulldog growled and bared his teeth, causing Duke to back away slowly. Rainbow, who had been perched on her owner's shoulder, took off in a frenzy, her feathers ruffled and her eyes wide with fear. She flew into a nearby tree, where she perched on a branch, trying to catch her breath. Gizmo, meanwhile, had scurried off into a nearby pet store. He ran through the aisles, knocking over bags of food and leaping over toys. But as he rounded a corner, he ran straight into a cage full of ferrets. The ferrets, startled by Gizmo's sudden appearance, began to chase him. Gizmo ran as fast as his little legs could carry him, darting under tables and chairs as the ferrets nipped at his tail. Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo's owners frantically searched for their pets, calling out their names and asking anyone who would listen if they had seen them. But the chaos of the pet show had made it nearly impossible to find anyone or anything. As the sun began to set, the pet show was coming to an end. The animals that had been found were being reunited with their owners, but there was still no sign of Duke, Rainbow, or Gizmo. The pet owners gathered together, determined to find their beloved pets. They formed a search party, scouring the area for any signs of Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo. They searched high and low, checking under bushes and behind buildings. They even climbed up trees and onto rooftops, hoping to catch a glimpse of their pets. Finally, after hours of searching, they got a break. One of the judges had found Gizmo hiding in a corner of the pet store. He was tired and scared, but otherwise unharmed. The search party continued their efforts, hoping to find Duke and Rainbow as well. But as the night wore on, their search became increasingly desperate. Just as they were about to give up hope, they heard a faint barking sound coming from a nearby alleyway. The pet owners rushed over, their hearts pounding with excitement. There, at the end of the alley, stood Duke, barking wildly and wagging his tail in excitement. He had managed to escape from the bulldog and had been hiding in the alley ever since. Rainbow, meanwhile, had flown to the top of a nearby building, where she had perched on a ledge, too scared to come down. It took some coaxing, but her owner finally managed to retrieve her and bring her back to the rest of the group. The pet owners hugged their pets tightly, grateful to have them back safe and sound. They knew that they had all been through a terrifying ordeal, but they were relieved that it was finally over. As they made their way back to the pet show, the pet owners couldn't help but wonder if the chaos had affected the outcome of the competition. Would Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo still have a chance at winning the best pet show? The pet owners and their pets arrived back at the pet show just in time for the final results to be announced. The tension in the air was palpable as the head judge prepared to make the announcement. And the winner of the best pet show is... He began, pausing for dramatic effect. The pet owners held their breath, waiting to hear the verdict. Had their pet's disappearance affected their chances of winning? Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo. The head judge exclaimed, holding up 3 trophies. Congratulations! You have all won the best pet show. The pet owners and their pets were overjoyed. They hugged each other tightly, happy to have won the competition and grateful to have their pets back safe and sound. But just as they were celebrating their victory, there was a sudden commotion at the other end of the pet show. The pet owners and their pets turned to see what was happening, and what they saw left them stunned. It was the bulldog that Duke had accidentally bumped into earlier in the day. He had managed to break free from his owner's leash and had made his way to the pet show, looking for Duke. As he charged towards Duke, Rainbow, and Gizmo, the pet owners braced themselves for the worst. But then, something unexpected happened. The bulldog stopped in his tracks, his ears perked up as he sniffed the air. And then, to everyone's surprise, he started wagging his tail and licking Duke's face. It turned out that the bulldog had been looking for Duke not to attack him, but to play with him. The 2 dogs started to play together, chasing each other around and barking happily. The pet owners and their pets looked on in amazement. They had all learned a valuable lesson that day about not judging a book by its cover and the importance of giving everyone a chance. As the pet show came to a close, the pet owners and their pets said their goodbyes, promising to keep in touch and to come back next year. They had all been through an unforgettable adventure, but they knew that they had come out of it stronger and closer than ever.